Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. The world of professional wrestling is based on illusion, so it should come as no surprise that wrestlers playing foreign characters might not be who they claim to be. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 20 wrestlers who pretended to be a different nationality. So what's the criteria here? If a wrestler was born in the US and pretended to be from Germany, this qualifies regardless of the wrestler's ancestry. After all, many people share ancestry from other nations despite having been born in another nation. Number 1. Yokozuna. Wrestler Rodney Anoa'i played one of the most feared monster heels of all time, crushing opponents in the ring with his 500-plus pound frame as he delivered his dreaded bonsai drop, usually ending matches instantly. Managed by Mr. FUJI, Yokozuna was billed as a Japanese wrestler, but if you look at his last name, you no doubt recognize him as a member of the Anoa'i dynasty, some who were born in Samoa, but in Yoko's case, born in America, San Francisco, California to be exact. Number 2. Mr. FUJI. The devious one, Mr. FUJI, terrorized babyfaces throughout his career, often in tag team action alongside wrestlers such as Mr. Saito and Professor Toru Tanaka. While FUJI competed in singles matches, he was best known for his championship-level team with Professor Toru Tanaka and Mr. Saito, teams that yielded numerous tag team titles including the WWF and WWF Tag Team Championships. However, Fuge the Stooge, as his former charge's Demolition labeled him, was actually born in Hawaii. Number 3. Professor Toru Tanaka. Another feared wrestler, Tanaka teamed with FUJI in the early 70s, winning 3 WWF Tag Team Championships. Tanaka had earlier won the WWF International Tag Team Championship with MITSU ARAKAWA as the Rising Suns. Tanaka was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019, but wasn't Japanese and, like FUJI, was born in Hawaii. Number 4. Mitsu Arakawa. Tanaka's tag team partner too hailed from Hawaii, but with World War II fresh in many people's minds, Mitsu was billed as a Japanese citizen who had survived the bombing of Hiroshima, vowing revenge on American wrestlers. Arakawa wrestled from the 50s into the 70s, often teaming with other wrestlers billed as Japanese but actually Hawaiian, one of them being Dr. Moto aka Tor Kamada. Number 5. Tor Kamada. Before you think this video is going to be Hawaiian wrestlers pretended to be Japanese, let Wrestlelamia assure you that there will be many other wrestlers besides Hawaiian natives who pretended to be other nationalities. Nonetheless, these examples show how promoters played on fans' memories of past conflicts such as World War II, which would also include Nazi heels. In the case of McRonald Kamaka, the Hawaiian athlete worked as a Japanese heel, including runs as Dr. Moto and his better-known identity, Tor Kamada. 6. Kofi Jamaican GHANAIAN. Current WWE champion Kofi Kingston entered the WWE scene as a happy-go-lucky Jamaican native who entertained fans with his incredible aerial moves and infectious positive attitude. The only problem was that Kofi is from Ghana, Africa. Kofi's relatives kept asking him why he was pretending to be Jamaican, but when you're making it in the WWE, you don't rock the boat as a new star. Eventually, WWE dropped the Jamaican character, acknowledging the dreadlocked Dynamo's true heritage. Kofi brought up a good point about wrestlers' identities. "I was actually born in Ghana, West Africa," Kingston said. "As far as the whole Jamaican thing is actually concerned, growing up I actually loved everything about Jamaica. I loved the food, the culture, the laid-back attitude. When I came to the WWE initially, I wanted to come out to something that attributed both my love for wrestling and the Jamaican heritage. I wanted to come out to something unique and something people had never seen before. But at a certain point, it becomes about being real and true to yourself, as opposed to playing a character. You look at guys like Triple H. When he first started out, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and before that, he was Terra Rising. I don't know if a lot of people know that." 7. Gorilla Monsoon. Gorilla Monsoon was a man for all seasons, wrestler, announcer, on-air figurehead WWF president, and even partial owner of the WWF at one time. Monsoon began working in the ring, and one of his personas was that of a Manchurian madman who spoke no English. In reality, the beloved WWE Hall of Famer was from Rochester, New York, not even close. Naturally, anyone who heard the dearly departed Monsoon call matches wouldn't mistake a man who said he hit him in his occipital protuberance with a Manchurian monster. 8. Ivan Koloff. The former WWF champion established himself as a brutal heel from the USSR who espoused the values of communism and condemned the weaknesses of democracy. Koloff worked a variety of territories, often carrying the flag of the Soviet Union to his matches to drive home his love for Mother Russia. Nonetheless, Oriol Paris hailed from Montreal, Quebec, and didn't adopt his Russian persona until several years into his career. In fact, the Russian Bear, as Uncle Ivan was known, initially worked as an Irish heel who wore an eye patch. 9. Nikita Koloff. The storyline nephew of Ivan Koloff, Steve Simpson, made a huge splash in Jim Crockett Promotions thanks to a killer physique and an imposing presence. While Nikita was no more Russian than his kayfabe uncle, Simpson was born and raised in Minnesota, he took his character seriously, learning to speak Russian and never speaking English during his early interviews. Rumor has it Simpson didn't speak English in public either in order to protect kayfabe. Simpson eventually had his name legally changed to Nikita Koloff, but you can't change your ancestry. 10. Nikolai Volkov. Our Russian wing of wrestlers who pretended to be a different nationality includes the late, great Nikolai Volkov, aka Josip Perezovic, who was born in the Iron Curtain country Yugoslavia, part of which is now Croatia, before working in the US and Canada as the Russian heel Nikolai Volkov. Volkov's imposing size made him a natural heel, and he played a Soviet villain well, including stints in the WWF, the American Wrestling Association, Mid-South Wrestling, and the WWF, where he formed a championship tag team with the Iron Sheik. Volkov would also team with another counterfeit communist, Boris ZHUKOV. 11. Boris ZHUKOV. Boris ZHUKOV fit the look of a stereotypical Russian heel, with a beefy physique and a bald head as well as rule-breaking talents to help edge out his soft American opponents. ZHUKOV, aka James Harrell, worked in the AWA, teaming with SOLDAT Ustinov to win the AWA World Tag Team Championship. ZHUKOV jumped ship to the WWF, where he allied himself with Nikolai Volkov as the Bolsheviks, a team that proved a thorn in the side of several teams, but failed to win championship gold. While Harrell is best known for his career as ZHUKOV, he ironically worked in Jim Crockett Promotions as American grappler Jim Nelson. Nelson was recruited by Sergeant Slaughter and paired with Don Kernodle as Slaughter's heel protégés. 12. Soldat Ustinov. ZHUKOV's championship-winning tag team partner Soldat Ustinov was actually big man Jim Lanning, billed from the Soviet Union but born in Minnesota. A quick aside. While no channel or site is perfect, Wrestlelamia would like to point out that despite what you may have heard, wrestler Crusher Khrushchev was not billed as being from the Soviet Union. Khrushchev, played by Barry Darsow, worked as an American wrestler who was also a communist sympathizer, turning his back on the US to embrace communism and allying himself with Soviet heel Nikolai Volkov. Khrushchev would later join Ivan and Nikita Koloff in Jim Crockett Promotions, teaming with them. Another person born in Minnesota, Darsow also worked as Demolition Smash and Repo Man amongst other characters. 13. Lana. There's some confusion about Rusev's manager and real-life wife Lana, aka Catherine Perry, who speaks Russian fluently and who's billed as a Russian citizen guiding Rusev. So is Lana Russian or another fictional foreigner? The truth is somewhere in the middle, as Lana was born in the United States but spent several years living in Latvia when her father served as a Christian missionary. 14. Fritz von Erich. And now, let's turn our attention to some of wrestling's German-born villains. At least, that's what promoters claim they were. One of the biggest and baddest was Jack Atkinson, who worked as the German villain Fritz von Erich. Fritz won the AWA World Heavyweight Championship and later ran World Class Championship Wrestling, the legendary promotion in Atkinson's birthplace, Texas. 15. Waldo von Erich. Walter Sieber worked as Fritz von Erich's German brother, but the villainous grappler was neither Fritz's brother nor German. Born in Canada, Waldo enjoyed success in a number of territories. 16. Baron von Raschke. Nebraska native James Donald Raschke excelled as an amateur wrestler and parlayed his mat skills into a professional career, working in a variety of territories as the German villain Baron von Raschke. Von Raschke was proud of his German homeland despite being a US citizen, goose-stepping in the ring before applying his dreaded finisher, the claw hold. Von Raschke held a variety of singles and tag team belts and later managed the Powers of Pain for a brief spell during their early run in the WWF. 17. Santino Marella. While some might dispute it, word has it that Santino Marella, aka Anthony Carelli, invented funny in the WWE, giving fans some real laughs at a time when the promotion was usually groan-inducing due to some terrible angles. Marella debuted as the Milan Miracle, the Italian local who defeated Umaga for the Intercontinental Championship, albeit with considerable help from Bobby Lashley, on the 16 April 2007 Raw set in Milan, Italy. Marella went from kayfabe Italian fan to WWE superstar, eventually winning over the WWE Universe with his comedy hijinks. However, while Marella was billed as originally from Italy, he's actually a Canadian. 18. The Sheik. This WWE Hall of Famer was one of the innovators of hardcore wrestling, known for frequently turning an opponent's forehead into a roadmap by using a pencil as a foreign object, and frightening the fans at ringside with his act as a madman. The Sheik, real name Ad Farhat, was billed as the Syrian madman, and fans were so convinced by Farhat's act in the ring that they didn't know he was actually an American citizen. The Sheik's violence also included his legendary use of fire in the ring, and his feud with Bobo Brazil is still considered one of the most bloody and beastly from any era in wrestling. 19. Abdullah the Butcher. Another bloody wrestler, Lawrence Shreve was known as the Madman from the Sudan, a wrestler, and we use that term loosely, who would just as soon use a fork to open up an opponent's head as he would to eat dinner with. Abdullah's portrayal of a sinister Sudanese wrestler was so good that many fans had no idea the beefy badman is actually a Canadian native. Shreve later owned and operated Abdullah the Butcher's House of Ribs and Chinese food, but the restaurants are believed to have closed. 20. The Sultan. While this foreign menace wasn't around long in the WWF, the Sultan did have a fairly high-profile match at WrestleMania 13, battling Rocky Maivia for the future Hollywood sensation's Intercontinental Championship. Working under a mask and never speaking, the Sultan was billed as a denizen of an Arabian nation. One look at the man under the mask, and the fans would have recognized him as Eddie Fatu, who'd worked as a member of the Samoan SWAT team in WCW and the Head Shrinkers in the WWF. Fatu would of course become best known as Rikishi, the fun-loving wielder of the stink face and an eventual WWE Hall of Famer. Fatu is originally from San Francisco, California, a long way from the Middle East. Well guys, there you have it, 20 wrestlers who pretended to be a different nationality. Were you surprised by any of these picks, and would you like to see another video like this? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.